Welcome to The Nation. I'm Rachel Smalley. The Labour Party is calling for an independent inquiry into our intelligence services and the government's management of them. It follows the Prime Minister's formal apology to Kim Dotcom after the GCSB admitted to unlawful spying. Labour leader David Shearer is on the programme today to talk about this and his leadership. But first, I spoke to former Prime Minister Sir Geoffrey earlier and asked him about the relationship between the security agencies and the Prime Minister.
Well, they have to give him regular briefings and they certainly have to bring to his attention anything that may end up being controversial or difficult. He needs to have a knowledge of what they're doing, but this is an agency that provides a great deal of help to all government departments about how to keep their communications secure. It also provides a lot of advice to public servants about how to avoid having their communications intercepted. It deals with cyber warfare and attacks on New Zealand government computers. It's a highly technical agency in most of its activities, but I suppose the most important thing it does is to intercept signals communication, and that can be very valuable from an intelligence point of view. I recall when I was a minister, we were conducting a very big campaign against drift net fishing in the Pacific. And what happened was that the GCSB was able to intercept the communications of foreign fishing fleets who were reporting their catches back to their home bases. And we were able to say what the catches were, and that helped us with the negotiations enormously. This agency can be very helpful for a lot of things that the New Zealand government does.
So what happens then in the Prime Minister's office when the agencies go to brief him? How does that meeting work?
Well, the Prime Minister will probably know what topics are on the agenda for discussion. He may get a paper about it beforehand, but many of the things that this agency does are fairly routine. They have to keep a 24-hour watch on signals. They're on duty all the time because when they're intercepting signals, they have to find out what is being said, and it may affect New Zealand pretty urgently. So often what he sees is the results of their activities rather than a briefing.
OK, you've read the NASA report. So having read it, what do you make of its revelations?
I think it's very clear there was very sloppy legal work here. The agency breached its own statute. The statute makes it very clear that interceptions are not to target domestic communications. The statute defines what domestic communications are. They include a person who has permanent residence, and that expression is defined in the statute itself to include someone who is the holder of a residence class visa under the Immigration Act 2009. They plainly breached that.
So if you think it's sloppy, should Ian Fletcher, the director of the GCSB, or anyone else for that matter, should anyone be offering up their resignation right now?
Well, it's hard for me to say that, but it is clear to me that the Prime Minister did really get stuck into this agency very heavily when he found out what they'd done. I am sure they are all running very scared there now, and that they are trying to rectify what was an egregious error. And it seems to me that that's what a minister should do when confronted with this sort of situation. The doctrine of ministerial responsibility says you have to put it right.
So we know this has happened in this one incident. Is it possible it's happened in other cases as well?
It's possible that it has, but I'm sure there will be an investigation into that internally to see whether it did. And if it did, they will have to tell the minister.
Is there a need, do you think, then, for a wider inquiry?
Well, I think you have to be very careful about this. These two intelligence agencies, the GCSB and the Security Intelligence Service, are both intelligence agencies. You can't have an open inquiry, like a commission of inquiry with evidence in public about that, because these agencies will cease to be any use if their secrecy is not preserved. There are important ways of holding them to account. They can be held to account in the courts, and no doubt they will be in relation to what happened here. No doubt there will be civil legal actions and possibly criminal proceedings brought as a result of what happened here. when in 1976 there was a difficulty with the Security Intelligence Service, the Chief Ombudsman was asked to conduct an inquiry into that, and he did so. And that is a possible way of doing, of conducting an inquiry if that was desired. But it seems to me the essence of it is that it has to be put right, and there have to be assurances given that this will not happen again. And that seems to me to have happened.
Sir Geoffrey Palmer, thank you.